What's going on, fam? Welcome to the BluePrint podcast, where we talk about all things business, all things wholesaling real estate, all things real estate in general, all things kingdom, just all the things. That's what we're here to do today. One thing we're going to talk about today is how to start a wholesaling company and how to scale it. Okay, so where do we start? What actions do we take? What people do we hire when we're starting to scale up? How do we go about that? How do we get our first deal? Just we're going to talk about wholesaling real estate today. Is that cool with you guys? Can we talk about that? So that's the topic today. Now, we can get right into it. I want to talk about my journey in wholesaling first. I think that would be a good foundation of where to start. And some of you probably already know kind of the story, but and I was explaining it in Q&A this week too, but I think it's going to give you guys some context, because this is not easy. This business is not easy. It's simple, but it is not easy. It's simple in the fact that when you really break it down into, I'm going to call them departments, it's very simple. You find people who are interested in selling their property. You convince them to sell their property to you. You get them to sign a contract, and then you sell the contract. It's very simple, but it's not easy. One of the reasons why it's not easy is because there's so many different places where you can start. So many different. Well, let's think about it. Let's break this down. First thing, you got to find somebody who's interested. Finding somebody who's interested is not easy because you don't know where to start. It's an easy thing to do, but it's hard to figure out where you're going to go point the cannon, where you're going to go take your time, where you're going to go invest your money, right, in order to find those people that are interested. That's the hard part. The simple part is just going out and having the conversations. I'm not even going to say that it's easy, because at the end of the day, you going out and generating leads, it is the easiest part in the business, in my opinion, but it's not easy in the beginning. Like, you still got to go out and get your feet wet and gain some traction and get better. So I'm not going to say it's fully easy. It is simple though. The problem is we don't know where to start. So this is Mike. Call it 4.5 years ago. I had a business that I operated with one of my good friends, and business was good. You know, we were operating pretty decently, pretty strongly for a good 8 months or so, like that. Then it got to the point where we realized that it wasn't something that we wanted to do. So we both like real estate. I'm like, bro, let's start flipping houses together. Like, this business is cool. It's kind of working, whatever, but I'm good. Like, let's get into a new business. Let's get into real estate. So we get into real estate and we start our wholesaling business together. Ultimately, we lasted together in that business maybe 2 weeks. He got to the point where he was like, bro, screw this. I don't like going out and talking to people and knocking doors and all these things. Is not for me. So I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. This is what I want to do. So we kind of just split ways. And I was on my own for a good 4 months. Okay, so from that point on, for about 4 months, I was a one-man band. And here's what I would do every single day. What up, gang? Wanted to take a quick sec to thank you for tuning in to the BluePrint podcast. If you did not know already, this podcast is recorded live with our free real estate community, where people are able to chat in the side chat, ask me questions, hang out with each other. They also have access to the free Facebook group and a bunch of different other tools. But if you want to be a part of that free community, I need you to go to wholesalewithmike.com or hit the link below. Let's get back to the pod. I would go on YouTube. I would listen to Jerry Norton, and I would listen to all the different videos that he had, all the different strategies that there was, all the different ways to generate leads, all the different ways to do deals. And whatever the video that I listened to that day is the action that I ended up taking that same day, which is good, because Jerry Norton has a ton of good content. Like, he's a guy where I pretty much learned all my stuff from in the beginning. He was like the foundation of my education in the beginning. And so that's what I would do every single day. I would go out and I would talk to sellers. Maybe I would knock doors. Maybe I would cold call. Maybe I would go out and start a direct mail campaign. Like, I just was trying to do all the things, right? Whenever he would say something about direct mail or about cold calling or about door knocking or about seller finance or about whatever, I would just go out and try to do the thing. Like on market things, I was doing that at one point. Like I would just try everything because I thought that that's what I needed to do. Really, actually, here's the root of the problem. Actually, the problem was I was doing way too many different things and I wasn't consistent with one. The root of the problem was I didn't really know how consistent I needed to be in order to have success. So I would watch a Jerry Norton video about talking to agents. I would talk to agents for a whole day, maybe 2 days at most. I would set up an appointment to go check out a property and I wouldn't get a deal. I would get discouraged and be like, all right, screw it, that doesn't work. And then I would go out and cold call. And then I'd be doing that for like a day or two. Screw it, that doesn't work. And I was like just going around in circles. And I wasn't getting anything done because I wasn't consistent with anything. I was like a what they would call a jack of all trades, master of none, right? And then 4 months into it, I was getting tired, man. I was ready to just quit. I told this story in Q&A earlier on in the week. I got to a point, like probably 3 months into doing that, I felt so freaking lonely in the business. My wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, she was working her day job. I'm sitting here this is the only thing that I'm doing. I'm like trying to get deals done, and I'm just doing it all alone. Don't have any mentors, don't have any partners, don't have any community. I'm literally just on YouTube doing what YouTube is telling me to do. And it got to the point where I was 3 months in, I didn't have any success. And I woke up at like 1 a.m. one night. And I just look in the mirror. I go in the bathroom. I look in the mirror and I'm just like, yo, do I just suck as an entrepreneur? Like up to this point in my life, I created a few different businesses. Some of them did good. Some of them didn't do good. And, the ones that did do good, I just didn't like. I just wasn't passionate about. I looked myself in the mirror. I was like, yo, do I just suck as an entrepreneur? Should I just stop being an entrepreneur? Should I just go quit it all and go get a day job? To the point where I was literally on the bathroom floor in tears, like a little baby. And ultimately, I woke up the next morning. I was like, no. Looked myself back in the mirror. I told myself, Mike, you stop being a little sissy. You're going to get up and you're going to do some work today. As I kept working over the next couple of weeks, I ended up stumbling upon some YouTube videos where people are generating leads with virtual assistants. So I got super interested. I'm like, wait, you can pay a virtual assistant like $5 an hour to generate you leads and I don't have to be the one doing the conversations. And it was just dope. I forget the guy's name, man. I forget his name, but I went down a rabbit hole of some dude's YouTube channel that all he talked about was generating leads with virtual assistants. So I'm like, dude, I got to do it. I got to get a virtual assistant as soon as possible. So I go on Facebook, find somebody. I was like, hey, does anybody know of a virtual assistant company? A company actually reached out to me. I got super lucky, hired my first virtual assistant, and it was a virtual assistant that was with me throughout my whole wholesaling business. She just left our business like 6 months ago. So she was with me for a good like 4 months. And 4 years. And she really, really helped me start the business. She worked with a client before that already had their systems in place, their dialers, their CRMs and all this. At that point, I didn't even know what the heck any of that stuff was. She's the one that put me onto it. She's like, you got to go get a dialer. You got to go get a CRM. You got to do all these things. And I'm like, all right. Went out, took action, got her set up. And from pretty much day one, she started generating me leads. And then as I keep getting these leads sent to me throughout the day, I'm starting to build up a pipeline. I end up with my first contract in the first 2 or 3 weeks of her generating leads. Guy's like, yeah, no, I would actually sell my property right now. I'm like, all right, how much do you want? He's like, $41,000. I'm like, okay, I'm going to send over a contract. I didn't even know how to send a contract. I didn't even know how to use DocuSign. I didn't have a contract. I had to find one on Google. Like, I had no idea what the heck I was doing. But I got this dude under agreement for $41,000, okay? Don't know what the heck to do from here. I called one of my homies who I knew had wholesaled a deal before in his life, and he's like, hey, bro, what you got to do is you just got to get the contract and you got to go find another buyer for it, and maybe find them on Facebook or something like that. So I'm on Facebook, like trying to get all these buyers in place. Finally, one guy calls me. He's like, "Hey, bro, I like this deal. I'll buy it right now at 50 something thousand dollars." So I'm like, "Great, let's do it. Let's lock it in." He sends me over the assignment agreement. I don't even know what the heck an assignment agreement is at the time. And he has an inspection period in there for like 3 days. Tells me to meet him at the property the next day, meet him there. He calls me back and he's like, "Mike, not a deal for me, man. There's way too much work. It's not going to work. This is not a deal." So I get discouraged and I don't even try shopping the deal out really anymore after that. I'm just like, whatever, this just isn't a deal. I'm just going to go circle back and find another lead. So I canceled that contract. About 4 months later, I looked and I saw that property sold for $53,000 off market. So another wholesaler came in and knew what the heck they were doing, and they probably partnered up with another wholesaler or something like that was able to help them find a buyer, and they got the deal done at $53,000. That would have been a $12,000 assignment fee for me if I found that buyer, but I didn't because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Now, I said this in the Q&A. That was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Me not getting that deal was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because if I did, I would have thought to myself, wait, dude, this business is so easy. What? I just hired a virtual assistant to generate me leads. I paid her $5 an hour. I waited 2 or 3 weeks. I had somebody that was super hot, ready to go. All I did was send out a contract, put a post on Facebook, and I made $12,000. This is the easiest thing in the world. I don't need anybody else. I don't need anybody else's help. I could just do this all on my own. That's what I would have thought. So I am grateful that I did not get that deal, because that's what my mindset probably would have been like. Think about this. $12,000 like in one transaction, that's not normal. Now it's normal that we're doing business and we're making things happen, but coming from where I come from, getting a $12,000 check from just having a conversation, that is bananas. Like that would have, my whole mindset would have been messed up. So luckily I didn't get that deal. But here's what happens. For the next like 2 or 3 months, my VA keeps generating me leads and I'm getting nothing. I'm like, dude, what the heck is going on? Is this business fake? All these doubts start coming in again. Is this business fake? Should I just quit? I'm about to lose my shirt. I'm about to be out of all my marketing expenses, and I'm about to just stop this. And then I see an ad from Pace Morby about signing up for his mentorship, and I'm like, you know what? This is my last shot in the dark. I'm gonna try it out. So I end up joining Pace's mentorship, like when he first started it. And that same day that I joined, I get in a Q&A with Pace, and I'm able to talk to him one-on-one. This is a guy that's done a lot of business. He's built his wholesaling company. He knows what the heck he's doing. He's done hundreds of transactions at this point, like has a lot of wisdom. And I'm explaining to him what is going on in my business, how I'm operating, how I'm generating leads, all these things. And he's like, bro, you just got to go learn sales. Like, you have leads coming in the door consistently. It's not the leads, it's you. You need to go understand how to have conversations and how to convert these people into contracts. And he was like, I guarantee if I went into your CRM right now and looked, you probably have a good like 3 or 4 deals just sitting there right there. But the thing that's preventing you from getting there is you just don't know how to have the conversation. So I'm like, all right, well, what the heck do I do? And he's like, go learn sales for the next 6 months of your life. Go dedicate the next 6 months to learning how to have conversations. And the best thing that happened to me is that I was in this community, and I wasn't doing that alone, right? Because it's one thing to just go learn sales, right? Like go get a sales training, thing with a bunch of modules. Go get a course with a bunch of modules teaching you whatever. Go get a sales book. Go go on YouTube and listen to people's calls or whatever. Like, those are all great ways for sales, like to learn sales, but the best way to learn sales is to learn it with people, with other people. So yes, I was doing those things. My car turned into a sales university. I was, reading all the sales books. I took sales trainings, did all the things. But what really helped me is I would hang out with people in the morning and I would do role plays together. Like we would all hop on Zooms in Pace's community and would do a role play. Every single morning, I'll do a role play with them. And in the beginning, I freaking hated it. And then it got to the point, like a couple weeks into me doing it, I absolutely loved it and I couldn't wait to do it. Like that was the thing that I looked forward to because I knew I was getting better and everybody in the side chats on the Zoom was like super jacked up. They were like, wait, Mike's getting good. Like, let's go. And that's the confidence that I was able to build. I was able to build off of that and bring that in my day to day. Then I would hop off that Zoom and I would hop on a Zoom with other students and we would call live sellers. I would call the seller, they would call a seller, we'd go back and forth. And like we would be able to, unmute and hear each other screw up, hear each other do great, hear each other get contracts. And it was a great environment that we could all do this business together. So that's really what propelled me into, 3 weeks into that, into me doing that, I ended up getting my first real deal that closed. And it was not, my problem in the beginning was me doing this business alone to the point where I was on the freaking bathroom floor in tears. We're not meant to do this business alone. We're meant to do this business with people. We're meant to do life with people. We're meant to be in community. So that was my biggest problem. So I wanted to lay that foundation to give you guys an understanding of this isn't just super easy. This isn't just, hey, I go watch a couple YouTube videos and I understand that you go talk to sellers, get somebody on a contract and go shop it out and find a buyer. It is that simple when you really break it down, but it's not that easy. Like you are going to have, in the beginning, you're going to have months where you might not get any deals. You're going to have people that are screaming at you, telling you no all the time. You got to get past that. You're going to have all these things that are thrown at you, and you got to be willing to get through it because it's not going to happen overnight. And if it does happen overnight, if all of a sudden you get into wholesaling and you start getting a bunch of contracts, I need you to remind yourself, hey, maybe I'm just getting lucky here because I know this is not that easy. Because you very well could hop on a dialer tomorrow and end up calling a super hot lead and getting it locked up and you make $10,000, $20,000. That very well could happen. Would I tell you that that's probably luck? Yes, especially if you're brand new and have never done this. If you're seasoned and you've been doing this for years and you can talk to people and stuff, I wouldn't say that that's luck. If you go in, into a dialer and you start locking up contracts that same day, nah, like you have a skill set. You're able to go into any industry and make money no matter what it is. So it's just realizing where you're at. But so that's the first thing. Realizing that, hey, this is not going to be easy. I'm gonna break this down into two different things. We got to realize when we're just starting out that it's not going to be easy. It's actually going to take probably like 5 to 10 times more effort than you actually think. I'm 4.5 years into my wholesaling business at this point. If you told me 4.5 years ago, would I still be managing my sales team, getting contracts and all that type of stuff? I'd be like, hell no. By this point, I would be hanging out on a boat, chilling. My team would be doing all the deals. I'd be working, an hour a week. My team would be making me $1 million. That's what I thought. I thought that it was just like, I'm able to get contracts like this and I'm going to be able to scale out, get a team. Nah, bro. This is hard work. Like you're going to put in the grind time. You're going to put in 5 to 10 times, if not even more effort than you really think. And this is the thing that not a lot of people talk about because they want it to seem easy, especially the people on YouTube that are teaching you, that want you to buy a course. Like they want to make it seem easy. It's not easy, I promise. I promise you, it's not going to be easy. You have to put the work in. So the first thing is, it's going to take way more effort than you really think. The second thing is it's almost impossible to do it alone. At this point, I've never done a deal without somebody else. Like, you can't. How are you going to be the one that generates the lead, that follows up with the lead, that gets the contract, that does the transaction coordinating work, that finds all the buyers, that that is the buyer. You're the agent. You're all the things, bro. Like, how the heck you can't do that, man? I mean, you can, but why the hell do you want to do that? You gotta be doing business with people. We can't do this alone. It would be like going to the Patriots game and seeing Tom Brady do everything. He's the water boy. He's the guy calling the plays. He's the guy in the box office. He's the guy that's snapping the ball. He's the guy that's kicking the ball. We can't do that like on our own. We got to do this together with people. So those are the two main things. Before we get into it, like, let's realize that it's going to take a lot of work and be okay with that and actually find a way to find joy in that, to find joy in the process. That's the life hack. If you can find joy in the process, if you can already go into it knowing, hey, this is going to be tough, it's going to be hard, it's going to take me years to get to the point where I want to be, and I'm willing to put that work in, and I'm just going to enjoy the heck out of it and realize that every single day as I'm going through these fires, that I'm just becoming a new version of me. If we can already prepare ourselves for that, the journey's much easier. It's much more enjoyable. It's much more peaceful, and it's fun. But if you're going in there like, hey, I am just here to run it up and run up a check and make this money, and I'm going to be in and out, like, don't work like that. If we could realize that, and we could realize, hey, I got to do this with people, you're gonna have a much better shot at getting where you want to be much quicker. So that's that. But let's get into the like the logistics of building a wholesaling company. I might have some news for some of y'all. Wholesaling really has nothing to do with real estate. I know people that are good wholesalers that have absolutely no idea about anything that has to do with real estate. They're just really good at talking to people. They're really good salespeople. They're really good systems oriented, whatever. I had a partner. Now I'm thinking about it. I had a partner before that has never done a real estate deal in his life, ever, before he hopped on the team. He never did a real estate deal in his life, didn't even know how to comp a property. This is interesting. I never even thought about this. My partner that I started my acquisitions business with now, that's no longer with us, he didn't even know how to comp a property. Like, I'm sure he could probably figure it out. But, like, dude, we did probably a good 25, 30 deals, if not more, together. He did all that without ever knowing how to comp a property. Isn't that crazy? Obviously knowing your numbers and, understanding real estate is going to only benefit you. But my point is this isn't a real estate business. It's a sales and marketing business. The reason why my partner was able to do 20 to 30, maybe even 40 deals without knowing how to comp is because he was a gangster when it came to marketing. He knew how to market. He knew how to get people's attention. He knew systems. He knew processes. He knew how to funnel people into a system. Now, I understood real estate to a high level, and I also understood sales. But you don't need to really understand real estate to get deals done. Even me on the closer side. If I didn't really understand real estate, dude, I say this all the time. You could put me in any industry. You could put me on a car lot. You could put me in insurance or whatever. I'll kind of get a brief understanding of what the heck is going on. But dude, it's not even about the product. It's not about the car that you're selling. Like, I'm going to be able to figure it out. I'm going to be able to sell a car to somebody if I could just have a conversation and communicate with them and figure out what they want. Dude, I have If I'm on a car dealership, I have 10, 20 other vets that understand cars. If I got to go, figure out, hey, I have this guy that has this, that, and the other. What is the best car for him? Oh, Mike, you should go point him to that car right there. All right, cool. I'm going to go point him to that car. I didn't even need to know about cars. And you could sell. So it's really it's not a real estate business. It's a marketing and sales business. So that's the first thing. Now that we understand that, it starts with marketing. So marketing is the first thing that we got to figure out. If we do not have people that we can convert into a contract, we can't make money. So if there's nobody that you can go to, if you don't have any opportunities to even try to convert, then you have nothing. So we got to figure out this marketing thing. As I said earlier, this is probably the easiest part of the business. This is just finding people that are interested in selling. It could be so simple. It could be as simple as a bandit sign. I want you guys to think about this. Think about McDonald's. How does McDonald's market? If McDonald's is on one of the main roads in your city, how do they market? They just put up a freaking sign. They put up a sign. They put up the golden arches, and down below they might say Big Macs for $2. That's all they do. That's how simple marketing it is. And then somebody sees that and they're like, oh, wait, I'm kind of hungry. Boom, they pull into the driveway, the drive-through. That's how simple that it is. So all marketing is finding out a system where you could just find people who are, you're just finding the eyeballs that are interested in your product. That's all it is. I'm not going to sit here and go through all of the different lead generation strategies. But like what I will say is if you're trying to figure that out, you want to look at two things. You want to look at, actually, I'm going to say three things. So let's think about this. The first thing you got to figure out is marketing, meaning we got to find people that are interested in our product. Now, problem with this, like I said earlier, is there's so many different ways to do it. So now we got to nail down which way do I go? Which direction do I go in order to find people who are interested in my product? Well, I would say look at three different things. First thing, look at your personality. Look at like your role. What should your role be in marketing? Right? If I am the analytics system type of oriented guy, I might be the one that's the puppeteer that's pulling the strings when it comes to what lists do we pull, what hours are we on the dialer, what phone numbers do we need, what systems do we have to be in, what dialer do we have to be on, that type of stuff. Where can I pull the data and see where all the cash deals are happening and point the cannon in that place? Like it's that type of stuff, right? Like being wise with that if you're a systems oriented type of person, right? It's just trying to figure that out. What's my personality type? Second thing is, what do I have access to for time? Am I on a time crunch? Do I only have 2 hours a day to dedicate to this, or do I have all day? And then the second thing is, what do I have access to for money, for capital? Because like for me in the beginning, I was blessed enough to have a decent cushion that I could use. I was blessed in the sense that I had a decent cushion when it came to capital, and I didn't have a job. So I had all the time in the world. So I was able to kind of pour the gas on both. I was taking all my time and energy. I was doing one of two things at all times. I was either educating myself, listening to YouTube videos and listening to modules and mentorships and Zooms and all these things, or I was out taking action on the business. It was like the only two things that I was doing. So I had access to a lot of time, and I had access to some capital. So I was able to hire a virtual assistant and generate leads that way. So you just got to figure that out. So if you're in a spot where you're like, hey, Mike, I have a lot of time on my hands, but I don't have access to a lot of capital, Then you got to look at the lead generation strategies that are free or that are very cheap, like maybe door knocking or maybe putting out bandit signs or something like that. Okay, if you have access to a lot of capital, but not too much time, maybe you hire a virtual assistant. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say the first thing is a combination of experience and personality. That's what I meant to say, experience. So you want to look at what your experience is, because this is where I'm going with this. If your experience is very high, let's just say you are a closer. Like you've been in sales for 10, 15 years. You could talk to people. You could sell anything. You could sell insurance. You could sell cars. You could sell anything. And you don't really have a lot of time, but you have access to capital. That's when you definitely spend some money on leads, because your skill set is already sharpened. You already know how to talk to people. You already know how to communicate. It's the same type of conversation. It's just might be a little bit of a different language. So instead of talking about, warranties and all that type of stuff on a car lot, you're talking about inspection periods and closing dates and stuff like that, right? So it's just different language, but it's the same type of conversation. So in that sense, maybe hire a virtual assistant, get some leads in the pipeline, and on your off time at work, you have an hour during lunch and maybe an hour after work or something like that, you work on your follow-ups. Maybe you're in a position where you're really strapped for both. Hey man, I really don't have too much time and I don't have too much capital. Well, then you got to utilize some other people. You got to utilize some other people's money and some other people's time in order to get some things done. So you just got to really figure that out. So this is like, I hate saying I would hate to put up a YouTube video saying, hey, this is how you get started in wholesaling real estate. One size fit all. It doesn't. Like one size does not fit all. It all depends on where you are at right now. Your circumstance has to meet the wholesaling business. The wholesaling business has to meet your circumstances where you're at, if that makes sense. So you got to figure that out. So leads is the first thing. Maybe somebody else is generating a lot of leads and you partner up with them. You're like, hey, I only have like an hour a day. I can follow up with leads or something like that. Let me go call somebody else's leads, right? Like if somebody, in the beginning, if somebody hit me up and was like, Mike, I have like an hour, 2 hours out of my day. Do you need any help with follow-up or something like that? I'd be like, heck yeah. Come into the system, follow up with some leads. This is what I'm saying. You just got to find these people that are interested, but find where you're at so that you can make the best decision on how do I go out and find that way without getting shiny object syndrome, because that's what's going to happen. You're going to look at people generating leads with AI, people generating leads with cold callers and virtual assistants and PPC and all these different things. Just figure out what your strategy is, go after it for a solid month or two. Maybe as you start finding some success, you bring another strategy on. Or maybe you find out that strategy in your area for some reason stinks and you try out another one. But be consistent as possible as you can for a solid like month or two before bringing more things on or before switching it up. I would even say probably longer than that. Or you'll end up like me, like I was saying in the beginning, where I was doing all the things and nothing was working. So once you get the opportunity thing down, you get the sales thing down. Actually, before I even get there, you don't even necessarily need to get the sales thing down yet. If you want to have longevity and you want to be really successful, then yes, you have to get this sales thing down. But let's just say you're in the beginning and you are just starting out. You find a way to generate some leads and you're just wet behind the ears and opportunities are starting to present themselves to you. And your skill set might not be at the point where you're able to extract every single opportunity. This is where you need community. This is where you need people that are in your corner. This is where you need somebody to reach out to and be like, hey, bro, I have this lead. Can you help me with it? And you squat up and you get it done. That's why you need to be doing business with people. This is nuts. This is nuts. I was talking to a wholesaler who I've done a couple deals with up to this point. Talking to them like 2 weeks ago about a random deal. I called him on a random deal. Hey, bro, I have this deal. Think you could do anything with it? Is it something that you would want? Whatever. And through that conversation, he's like, yo, bro, I have this lead that I've been working, and I'm starting to get worried because I think I screwed up the lead. Like, I could feel that the trust is being lost, and I just don't think we're going to be able to get the deal done. Could we just split the deal if I set you up with the lead? Actually, I'm not even going to set you up. I'm like, you don't have to just tell them that it's me. You just simply, I'm going to give you the phone number and you can work the lead yourself. I was like, yeah, for sure. So I worked the lead. We just had the biggest assignment fee we've ever had from this deal. And this guy's getting half of it. Just because he was going to lose the contracts. He was going to walk away. Now this dude's making tens of thousands of dollars for just being able to be in community and refer something to somebody. So that's how powerful it is. You don't even necessarily need to be the best closer or whatever. You could, if you simply are just presenting all the opportunities, and you're seeing those, you're able to dish those off to other people if in a very worst case scenario. Now you're going to make the most money if you're the one converting and doing all that stuff, but you don't necessarily need the skill set to close. Now, if we're going to be in this business for longevity, if we're going to scale, if we're going to have a good amount of success, then yes, you got to acquire the skill to go sell. That way you're not hindered by somebody else. That way you're not always relying on somebody else's conversations. No, you be the one to go learn sales so that you can go level up and start making the majority of the money. If you go into any industry, it's the salespeople that are making the most money. Dude, salespeople make more than doctors. Salespeople make more than lawyers. Salespeople make more than freaking astronauts. I don't know. Salespeople make a lot of money. The good salespeople. So learn sales. You want to learn sales. So that's the next thing. Once we have this marketing thing down and we're able to find all these opportunities, in a very worst case scenario, if we can't close them, we send them to somebody that knows what they're doing. The only way to do that is to get in community and being Zooms like you guys are in right now. Right? Like hang out with each other, talk in the side chat, connect with one another, reach out to people on Instagram, like just network. Okay? Build that, build your, what do they call that? Your sphere of influence up. Second thing is sales. Once you have this down, and you could do this simultaneously too, but once you have opportunities, now you got to learn how to sell. Now you got to go learn how to have the conversation. And just like Mike, when Pace told me that, I didn't even know that. I had no idea. I really didn't. When I was first starting my business, he told me, when I was first starting my business, I had no idea that sales was a thing, that conversion was a thing. I literally thought that as long as you just went out and found somebody who was interested in selling their property at a discount, you're going to get deals, and that's how the business works. I just got to go pump the money into a campaign, and the opportunities will present themselves. We'll get it under contract, and it'll be easy. It'll be cake. I really thought that. And when he told me that after I had like 200 leads in the pipeline and I didn't have any deals, when he was like, dude, there are contracts in that pipeline. You just need to get better at converting. When he told me that, a light bulb went off, and I was like, whoa, what? So it's not that easy. It's not that easy. I can't just go generate leads and get contracts. He's like, nah, bro, you got to go learn how to convert. That's where you make your money. If it was easy, everybody else would be doing it. So once Pace told me that I needed to go learn sales, a light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. and I was able to see things much more clear. So we got to go learn sales to have longevity in a wholesaling business. And you can go on my YouTube channel. You can see all the different, sales videos that we have, 8-step sales process videos. There's, seller calls that I have in there. There's a bunch of sales training. You can squat up with people that are in the BluePrint community, learn sales from them. You can join the BluePrint community and get a sales training in depth. Like there's so many different ways that you can go out and understand sales and get better at it. And it's the thing that is going to give you longevity, success in wholesaling real estate, because that's all wholesaling is. And here's the coolest part. The sales part of it, like the closer on a team, is the most important player. Now, if you don't have leads, then that player can't play. Right? There's no need for the player to be on the field if there's no leads. So you need leads. Leads are like the lifeline. It's like leads are like the it's like your food. Like you need food, it's your lifeline, you need it. But at the end of the day, what's the point of having some good nourishing food if you don't have a human being to eat the food and be get nourishment from that? So the closer is the one that's the most important, because everybody else works around the closer. It's almost like everybody works for the closer. Mike Michalowicz has this book called Clockwork, and he talks about the queen bee role. This means like the role in the business that everybody else works for. It's like the queen bee. All the bees are out collecting honey and collecting all these things on the flowers and stuff, all for the queen bee. It's like that's what the closer is. The closer is the queen bee. And at the end of the day, when you take the queen bee out of the hive, there's no purpose. It's like what's the point of going out and getting all the honey? What's the point of going out and going on all the flowers and stuff like that? So the closer is the one that is the queen bee. Not to be like, hey, we're queen bees. We're like, you can't do nothing without me. That's not what I'm saying. Not like an egotistical type of thing. I'm saying no. It's like the Tom Brady role. Like the closer is the Tom Brady in the business. The closer is the quarterback. Without them, the quarterback touches the ball on every single play. Without the quarterback's dictating where the ball goes and if it's being handed off and like all the things. If you don't have the quarterback, how the heck are you going to play? So the closer is the most important. With that being said, let's open it up for Q&A. What's going on, gang? I wanted to open up for Q&A. I know there were some people that were on Instagram that asked me some questions. I don't know if you guys are in here or not. But if you do have a question, go down to the raise hand button and raise your hand. Paris, what up, big dog?
What's going on, bro? How you doing?
Good. How about yourself, bro?
I'm well, man. I'm well. I have a question for you. I think I already know the answer, but I'm curious. Why did you start with wholesaling, and why not, fix and flipping, or why not jumping into buying and holding, or why not jumping into commercial, or why did you decide wholesaling, and why was that the path for you?
That's a really good question. So for me personally, I actually wanted nothing to do with wholesaling. I wanted to fix and flip. I first heard about real estate. It was like my senior year in college or something like that. I was on my way home from work and I hear a radio ad talking about, hey, you can buy real estate with zero money out of your pocket. So I go to this convention and it was like a 2-hour workshop. They push you to go to a 3-day workshop. And at that 3-day workshop, I learned about wholesaling, flipping, and buying and holding. It was like the 3 main things. I learned like the basics, the foundations of all of them. And when I learned that, I didn't take action on any of that knowledge for the next like 3 years or so of my life. But I remember when I was learning that, I was like, screw wholesaling. Like, I'm good with that. I just want to be the fix and flipper. I want to be the guy that's on HGTV doing that stuff. Like, I don't want to do the wholesaling thing. But here's what happened. I burned the boats, as they would say. I left my career as a barber, and I was just like, screw it. I have some capital saved up. I'm just gonna go all in on real estate, like whatever. That same week, I contact a fix and flipper in the area that my father does some work for, and I said, "Hey, bro, I want to help you out on some of your projects. I'll come demo for free or do some labor for free, whatever." Go to one of his projects. We end up being friends. He's a fix and flipper. Like he is a full-time fix and flipper, and that's all he does. He buys houses, he renovates them, and sells them on the market. He does not wholesale. So I start learning from him. I start learning all the fix and flip numbers and ARVs and construction costs and scope of works and all that type of stuff. And I was like, all right, I'm ready to get my first deal. So I started going on YouTube and I started looking up how to find my deal, how to get into real estate and all this stuff. And without knowing it, my intentions were to fix and flip a property. But without knowing it, I was building a wholesaling company because I was going out and I was marketing to people and I was finding people that were interested in selling, right? And then all of a sudden I got my first deal under contract and there was an opportunity to make $20,000 in a 3-week time span, or sit on it, rehab it, figure out how the heck I raise money for it and how I do all these things and get a potential profit down in the back end. And I was like, nah, bro, I'm gonna take the 20 grand and I'm just gonna go quick. I'm gonna get my next deal and I'm just gonna keep on moving. And at some point I'll start doing flips. And then I just kind of got like, I almost kind of got addicted to that. It's like, wait, I get this property under contract, I sell it, I make 20 grand. It's like, I kept on doing that. I started doing a deal about every 6 weeks or so once I did my first deal. And then probably like 2 years into doing that, I finally got to the point where I was like, all right, I've done enough of these deals. I'm going to keep on doing them, and I want to try my first fix and flip. So I didn't do my first fix and flip until like 2 years into me wholesaling. But that's how I started. But you don't necessarily need to start there. Like I'm talking to a guy, he might even be in here. Let me see. I was talking to a guy today, and he's been struggling to make his wholesaling business crank. He's been struggling to even just get a deal. And he's really to the point right now, he's just like, bro, screw this. I don't want to talk to sellers no more. I never did. I did it because that's what everybody was telling me to do. Everybody was telling me that was my entry. That's what I had to do in order to get into real estate. And I'm like, that's not true. I'm like, that's not true at all. I was like, you can, and he has a personality type where he's a hustler. So he understands like, hey, I'm going to put this money into something. I'm going to work it the way that I need to work it, and I'm going to resell it. Like, that's his mentality. That's what he's grown up to do. I'm like, bro, just go find a freaking fix and flip. Just do a fix and flip. You don't need to wholesale to start. I like wholesaling. One of the reasons why I like wholesaling to start is because it gives you such a good foundation for everything else. Like, since I started wholesaling, all the other opportunities present themselves, which, by the way, people will tell you to wholesale so that you can cherry pick your own deals as dumb. It's dumb. No wholesaler is wholesaling for the purpose of cherry picking their own deals. Matter of fact, all the flips that I have done, actually besides a couple, the majority of the flips that I've done have not been from my wholesaling business. They've been from my brand, or they've been from a realtor that was on market or something. It had absolutely nothing to do with wholesaling. So you don't need a wholesaling business to cherry pick the good deals to fix and flip and stuff like that. Like these big wholesaling companies that are doing 50 transactions per month, dude, they're not doing flips. They're not picking their own deals to be like, oh no, we can't wholesale this one. We gotta buy this one because it's a smoking deal and we'll make a killing on the fix and flip. No, they're gonna take the assignment fee all day. Maybe there's some that they're forced to buy because of whatever reason their buyers weren't buying it or whatever, right? But that's not the goal. But anyways, you don't need to start with wholesaling. Like, dude, you can start with flipping a property. and you get really good, they're all completely different businesses. Like a fix and flip.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. A fix and flip company entails you to get really like five main players. You need to find your source of deals, so you can even just contact somebody like myself that has wholesaling deals. You need to find your money people, which is hard money lenders and private lenders. You need to find, by the way, that same guy that I just was telling you about, he was like, hey, so that means I'm going to have to come up with a 20% down payment? No. You just got to go raise private money. Like I don't come out of pocket at all for our flips. Even if I do use a hard money lender that requires a 10%, 20% down payment, I'll just bring in another private lender for that down payment. So you need your lenders, you need your construction crew, okay, like your general contractors and your subs and stuff like that. And then you need your realtors. Maybe you might be a realtor yourself, or you find a good realtor in the area that can list the property on the back end. And then the last thing is your attorney. You need an attorney to help you with the closing and all that type of stuff. And that's it. That's all a fix and flip company is. And at the end of the day, you got to know your numbers, you got to know your rehabs, budgets, and all that type of stuff. But once you make those connections with all five of those people, if you make really good connections with them, it's like, hey, when the wholesaler has a deal for you, walk the deal with your contractor. Run it by your realtor. Make sure that it's a good deal. Pull the trigger on it. Get your lenders on board, and now you're in your first deal. Whatever you make, let's just say you only make 20 grand on your first flip. That's what I made on my first flip, 20,000 bucks. If I wholesaled it, I probably could have made 60 grand. Not even kidding. But I made $20,000. However, I learned so much on that one project that is almost it's immeasurable as far as what that knowledge is worth. So, dude, you don't need to your point, Parrish, you don't need to start with wholesaling. I think it's a great place to start because it does open up a lot of doors in the sense that those vendors will come. So since I started my wholesaling business, everything else kind of opened up. Like now, I now have connections with a lot of different dispo wholesalers. I have a bunch of connections with private lenders. I have connections with my attorneys and everything like that. Like I have everything. All of those came from starting the wholesaling company. So now it's easy for me. If I want to go buy a flip tomorrow, I can go buy a flip tomorrow. Like with shooting a couple texts out, I could literally buy a deal tomorrow if need be. But a lot of that comes
I
from the
wonder,
wholesaling.
go ahead.
Yeah, like I was saying, a lot of that comes from wholesaling, but you don't necessarily need to do that.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of wholesaling. Outside of how when I learned wholesaling, it was mainly like you were mentioning lead generation. It's being able to find that lead. But then there's so many other parts of the business which I learned the hard way as well.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder though, you come across a lot of creative deals in your wholesaling efforts. Like, are there a lot of deals that you can see that can go creatively, like sub to or seller financing, or is that like few and far between? What are you noticing?
Man, it's interesting. Up here in Mass, if you notice, there really aren't too many companies. If actually, before I say that, other parts of the country, there are companies that only focus on creative finance. Like they don't even do cash transactions. They're just like, hey, we are a creative finance powerhouse. That's all we do. You don't really see that up here because they're just from what I have seen, and I'm in the trenches, and I know creative finance more than any of the next guy up here in this market, and I just really haven't seen too many of those opportunities up here. That make the most sense. Now, does that mean that they're not up here? Absolutely not, because I've done them. I've done sub two deals up here. I've done novation agreements up here. I've done them all up here. It's like they're out here for sure. Just the volume that you're seeing on YouTube and stuff that these other companies are doing, I just personally haven't seen it.
the same can be said for wholesaling, though, right? Like, a lot of the guys who do, like you were saying, the 50 deals a month. To my knowledge, I don't know a guy doing 50 deals a month, but to my understanding, I've been to enough, meetups, had enough conversations to realize like a lot of those deals are smaller deals, and it kind of offsets, right? And maybe you could speak to this more than me with your network and your knowledge. The deals may be a little bit more hefty up here, maybe less, but in other markets you can squeeze out more deals, but they're at a smaller price point.
100%. Bro, there's nobody in our area doing 50 deals a month.
Yeah, okay.
There's no, I don't know them unless they're under the radar, but like, I don't know any company that's doing consistently 50 deals a month. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, if they did that, that would be at $20,000 per deal. It's like, what is that? Times 50. That's $1 million per month. Yeah, I mean, there might be companies out here that are doing close to that amount in revenue somehow, some way, but I really don't know of too many companies doing that. I know of a couple companies that will be at like the 25, 30 mark. As far as wholesaling goes, there's definitely brokerages out there that do that amount of volume. But as far as like legit raw wholesaling companies, there really aren't too many people out here doing that many transactions. But you got to realize, like you just said, these spreads are massive, bro. The spread between all parties, okay, this isn't my take home. This isn't Silver Home's take home, but between all parties, the entire wholesale fee for this deal that we just did, that I was telling you guys about, that the guy sent over to me, was $150,000. Bananas. Like, bro, that ain't regular. That don't happen in freaking North Carolina on a regular basis. But that does happen in Boston on a regular basis. You got to think about it. That the deal that we just did was the buyer came in at $1.28 million. It's like when you're dealing with that type of money, the spreads are big. So to your point, I would say there's a little bit less volume down here, but the spreads are bigger, and it ends up all evening out together. But yeah, dude.
Have you ever thought of moving markets because of that, or did you have that thought in the beginning? I asked because I had that thought, like, man, I should just go down south and just jump into where all the deals are happening.
I did in the beginning. In those first 7 months where I wasn't doing any deals, that was one of the major things. I kept telling myself that there was no deals up here. Like, hey, there's just no deals up here. There's like, it's just impossible. I don't see anybody really making it happen out here. It just doesn't. It's not true. It's not true. It's like it's a limiting belief that I was telling myself. So that's just not true. I personally like doing deals in my backyard. I like going on appointments. It's easier to build brand. It's easier to build systems and processes around that. And I think that's where people should start. If they are thinking that the reason why it's not working is because of the market, it's not. The only reason why a market doesn't work is when there's no population. Like there's markets, in freaking Mississippi somewhere or something like that, the city has 1,000 people, or the county has 2,000 people. It's like you're not going to get deals done consistently in that market, right? But as long as there's population, and in Massachusetts, we're freaking crammed. Like there's a big population here, and we're all kind of like tight knit, and that's why, wholesaling and flipping is great in Boston. It's great because the spreads are super high. As long as you're able to get these deals, it might be tougher to find them, but at the end of the day, your spreads are much bigger, and you can make it happen. There are businesses out here that do really well. I know businesses that are doing like $3 to $5 million per year. I know businesses that are doing 25 plus transactions per month. Like the deals are out here 100%. You just gotta hustle and get them. And if you're going direct to seller that way, if you're wholesaling that way, the conversation is harder. I ain't gonna sit here in front like it's not. It is harder. Like, dude, I talked to somebody in freaking Texas, and I'm their best friend in the first 2 seconds. You know what I'm saying? But if you can learn to get really good at talking to people up here, you could talk to people anywhere. And if you can learn to talk to people up here, you have the upper hand because you're going to be able to talk to them over everybody else because everybody else is chickening out. Everybody else is like, oh my God, everybody's yelling at me up here. It's freaking is bananas. But if you're able to push through that, you're going to be the guy that gets the deal over everybody else. I just talked to a lady right before this who was like, I went on an appointment with her 2 years ago. My closer brings this lead back to the table. He's like, hey, bro, Barbara's finally looking to sell her property. And I'm like, what? That appointment was like, I had to scroll through my iPad for the pictures through like 2 years. I called the lady, and she was like, hey, the reason why I called you guys back is because how upfront you guys were, just with everything. Everybody else is kind of like beating around the bush. Everybody's kind of like kind of being weird about it. No, you guys said it how it is. Like it is what it is. And that's the type of personality that she is. She told me today, she's like, listen, I don't want to go back and forth with anybody. You give me an offer and this is da 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 da. She's like that type of personality. So I just lean into it. I'm like, all right, cool. This is what we're doing. I was like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get you an offer and like, so if you're able to push through that, you're going to be getting deals over everybody else because nobody else is willing to push through that. Everybody gets scared.
Word. Word. Well, I appreciate it, man. I'm going to hop off here. I'm glad you do these, man. This is like my little form of community. So I appreciate you for having these weekly meetings.
Well, let's go, bro.
Thank you, bro.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, man. Y'all have a good night. Peace.
All right, brother. Dickens, what's going on, brother?
I'm good. What about you, my friend?
Doing good, my man. What's going on?
Good, good, good. I got a quick question for you. I'm going to be quick. Any tips on working with a VA? I just hired my first VA.
Let's go.
Cold calls for me. So, but I used to do all my cold call myself, and it's a big deal for me to get myself off that train right now, and I need some tips on to manage and supervise and things like that.
For sure. So what are your plans? What are you doing at the moment with them?
We don't sell. I bought a list, and she called.
Okay. Here's what I would recommend.
And, yes.
Know that it's going to take some time. You hired them directly, right? Or did you hire like an agency that's,
No, I heard her directly. She used to work with a company before. I had a relationship with another VA that used to manage the office that I was in before going on my own. So she tipped me with a friend from the Philippines. So she had experience. When I interview, I can see she had experience. So I set up work with Mojo, get her list.
Yep.
And I'm not the type of person who would micromanage. That means I removed myself from this and gave her 2 or 3 weeks of doing a thing. We're gonna start having regular meetings by next week.
Love it.
That's how I need some tips to know, how to manage it, because I don't want to micromanage, but I don't want to leave things on the table, and when I need to make correction, it's gonna be too late or too heavy.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. Couple things. So, first thing to note is a lot of people mistake when they hire a virtual assistant, they think that it is just a set it and forget it type of thing, that they are like robots, right? I think this is very clear. We all know this. Like, they're not robots. They're human beings. They need to be managed just like any other human being would be managed. Okay, so that's the first thing. So these morning meetings are important. These call calibrations are important. Doing role plays, spending time, making sure that they're caught up to speed on their conversations. That's important. I would etch out, probably like if you can, try to etch out like 30 minutes to an hour per day to one, just check in with them. Hey, how's it going? How you doing today? That type of conversation. And then you want to get into role plays with them, call calibrations with them, and just overall like check-ins with them to just see how they're doing in general. So I would be doing that once a day if you can. And that's going to help
Yeah,
you. That's going to help you build that culture. Go ahead.
yeah. We try to do that. We text on a daily basis. At least at the beginning of her call, I try to set up that every week she send me a schedule for the week because she can call different time of the day. We set up for a 3 hours calling session.
Uh
Yeah,
huh.
but she can choose when she goes, but she had to set it up before at the beginning of the week. And we check in, and at the end of her shift, if there's any appointment, she send it to me, and I try to do some conversation, ask her how she was, thing was, if there's anything, have a feedback on the list I'm providing or anything like that.
Love it. Yeah, that's good. That's all good stuff. Like they need that time spent with them. They need to be corrected. They need to have role plays like that. All that stuff is very important. That is very important in any sales department, whether you're coaching a VA or you're coaching a closer in the States. Like there needs to be call calibrations. There needs to be role plays. And what is also very important is KPIs. You need to be going over KPIs once a week. So you need to be going over the amount of leads that she's generating, the amount of dials she's doing per day, the amount of here's the main three that you want to track: amount of leads, amount of dials, and the amount of conversations. Those are the three main things. So be sure to go over that with them on a weekly basis, and then as far as like the daily meetings go, yeah, the daily meetings they just have to be role plays, call calibrations, stuff like that. Now here's the golden nugget. If you want longevity, and this doesn't even just have to be with virtual assistants. This can be any team member. If you want longevity, instead of building the company for them, I chose to build the company with them. And that has brought us retention. Like our VA, Karen, who runs her own agency right now, she was with me for like 4.5 years. But when we were in the beginning, like building out new scripts and doing all these things, I wasn't just like, hey, here's a new script, go implement it. No, me and Karen would hop on a Zoom and I would be like, hey, Karen, well, what are you seeing when you're talking to these people? How do you think we should change the script? How do you think we should lay this thing out? And like time over time, I'm like, asking her how we should do things. And she's helping me build the business and she's taking ownership in it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's been one of the things that has brought us longevity. The other two virtual assistants that we have on the team right now, they've been with us for like 3 years. And it's just been time after time again. Like when problems come up, it's not just like, all right, hey, here's the solution. It's like, no, let's figure this thing out together. How do you think we should do this? And now you're literally building this baby together.
Perfect.
So
Yep, I'm listening.
yeah, so like micromanagement comes when you're a dictator and you're just telling them, do this, do that, do that, do that, do the other. And then you're listening on every single thing that they're doing and you're correcting them. No, do this, do that, do the other. It's like there needs to be space for everybody to grow, for one, but for two, for everybody to have a hand in the pot when it comes to building it.
Perfect. And lastly, what do you focus on them when they do a call? Because myself, I just want them to identify who want to sell,
Yep.
and then I'll do the follow up. So what will you focus on?
It's a very brief 2 or 3 minute conversation. Why do they want to sell? How much do they want? When do they want to sell? They don't even dig into condition.
Perfect.
I'll send you over our cold call script.
Thank you.
Here, let me get this. Let me pull this up.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you for all you're doing.
For sure, bro. In the side chat over here, I'm putting our cold call script. Let me share my screen really quick and you guys can see. Very brief. You know, you have your intro, whatever the intro can be, whatever you want. If they say no, do you have any other houses? Do you know somebody? Usually one more question that they'll ask is there any reason why I should ever follow up? Right? And then if it's a yes, get right into an open-ended question. So can you tell me a little bit about the house? Hopefully they get some motivation here. Well, it's an older house that just got passed down to me and da 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 da. Hopefully you're getting some motivation. If not, they ask, is this your personal house or is this a rental for you? Right? They ask the occupancy question. And then they try to pull a little bit more information out of that. And then it's simple. Well, what's got you thinking about selling? Hopefully they dig into they say some motivation. They're not digging super deep into it. And then they're asking, what's the price? If we can make your price work, when do you want to sell? And then they're passing them off to the next team member. So I'll put that in the chat. Good question, bro.
Thank you.
That's exciting, man. I'm excited for you. This is your first VA?
My first one.
Let's go, man. That's exciting.
Thank you. So I didn't see it in the chat. If not, I will text you.
Hey, it's all good. I just put it in there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes, sir.